Episode 2 of Loki is finally here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down the entire episode, including all the Easter eggs and what the ending of the episode sets up for the rest of the series. Before we get into it, if you're new to my channel, I post everything related to Marvel Comics and MCU, so be sure to smash that like button and hit that subscribe button for more weekly videos just like this. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. The episode begins with a few TVA guards going through a previous timestamp to find the variant of Loki from the last episode. The TVA guards end up falling into their trap, and we actually get to see a new power from this variant of Loki, which was full-on mind control, and I'm pretty sure we haven't seen that from the normal version of Loki yet. After the intro panel, Ms. Minutes is teaching Loki about the TVA and how the missions work, and right here we can see this monitor, and this is actually really important, because if that line gets past the red line, that means that timeline can no longer be reset, which can cause the multiverse to go into madness. And if that certain timeline can't be reset, that means it's now a permanent timeline which can branch off into other timelines, which like I said before, could lead into multiversal madness. Mobius then shows Loki and the TVA crew that will be going on the mission that different variants of Loki can look a lot different, even such as an ogre. Loki, Mobius, and the crew then go back to the timeline that the variant Loki was at from the beginning of the episode. And the main reason they're here so they can have Loki's perspective so it can try and help him get ahead of this variant of Loki so it can help them track them down. And as Loki is giving them quote-unquote perspective, he's playing his own games and trying to trick them into taking him to the timekeepers, but Mobius catches on almost immediately. After they reset the timeline and leave, Mobius has a discussion with the judge. Now there's a few things I want to point out during this conversation, number one being there's 3 statues of the timekeepers, and one of them isn't holding anything unlike the other 2. And it's actually the one in the middle, so this might indicate that that certain timekeeper is the leader of the 3 timekeepers. And the other thing I wanted to point out was during their conversation, Mobius said he never met any of the timekeepers before, but after that he said that one in the middle looks like he's got kind of and then he was cut off. So it pretty much sounded like he was going to say he kinda has a familiar face, and a lot of people have been thinking that one of the timekeepers is actually Kang the Conqueror, so Mobius might have been referring to that he saw another variant of Kang. When Mobius goes to grab a bite to eat, Loki goes to ask the file manager for the files from the beginning of the TVA, and she says those are classified, so then he asks what files can I have. She hands him a few files, and as he's looking through them, he sees the Apocalypse of Ragnarok. Loki gets a little emotional because he saw it wiped out a portion of the Asgardians. And right here's a cool little Easter egg that you might have missed. It says on this piece of paper, Avengers, referring to the team from Thor Ragnarok, consisting of Thor, Hulk, Valkyrie, and Loki. Loki then reads 0 variants energy detected and realizes that this variant of Loki could be hiding out in a certain apocalypse. Loki realizes because he said to Mobius that anything you say or do before an apocalypse won't affect the sacred timeline because the apocalypse is going to wipe out everything anyways. Loki and Mobius then go to a volcano apocalypse that happened in the past, and Loki goes on an outburst proving his theory right to Mobius. After this, Mobius and Loki then begin searching for exactly what apocalypse they could be staying in, but they find no luck. But then Mobius remembers the kablooey candy that the little girl gave him from the first episode. They find out that this kablooey candy was only made from 2047 to 2051, and that's how they track down exactly what apocalypse this variant of Loki is hiding out in. They pinpoint exactly what apocalypse this variant of Loki is staying in, and they arrive to the year 2050. B-15 and Loki spread out from Mobius to go and find the variant. The variant begins switching from body to body to have a conversation with Loki so they don't have to go face to face yet. Loki then tells them that he's trying to take over the TVA and he offers them a spot along his side. The variant declines Loki's offer and says they have no interest in taking over the timekeepers, which is pretty interesting because we now know that's not one of their goals. After Loki getting beat up a bit, the variant finally reveals himself face to face with Loki, and it actually turns out to be what it seems, Lady Loki. Now some people think it's Enchantress, but personally I don't think so because in this episode they were setting it up for it to be a variant of Loki, which turned out to be Lady Loki. In The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they were setting up Sharon to be the power broker, but a lot of people didn't think it was going to be her even though they were setting it up to be her, so that's why it makes sense to me why this would be Lady Loki. Also, in the ending of this episode when Loki was talking to her, he called her Loki and she said please don't call me that, so this pretty much confirms that she's a version of Loki. Now because she said that, this might mean she doesn't want to be Loki, and Marvel could transition her into the character of Enchantress because her powers are pretty similar. She then drops all of the time resetters that she's been collecting into portals, pretty much bombing the sacred timeline. Now as we can see here, it's pretty much sending it into chaos, and this could be part of the setup for Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but that's just my theory. She then opens up a portal and leaves, and she leaves it open just for enough time for Loki to go through it, and he ends up leaving as well. Now before I give my overall opinion on the episode, I want to point out a few things. Number one being when all the timelines are branching off, we saw a few places that we've seen before, including Vormir and Titan. Now if you guys remember the Loki trailer, when Loki and her were sitting in a place that looked very familiar, and this place could be Vormir, and that could be the place that they went through the portal. Now overall, I thought this episode was amazing, and I personally liked it a little bit better than the first one just because there was a lot more going on and it sets up for so much more. Anyways, that'll be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button for more weekly content. Also, I have a TikTok that I post daily videos on, and the content is very similar over on there. If you're interested and want to go check it out, the link will be in the description down below. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.